Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. Now, what big-name studio's work shall I be reviewing this week? Son of a bitch. Maybe not so big, but certainly recognizable and unquestioningly prolific. I know I've told you a lot about the Asylum's practices already, but actually, I did get some of it wrong. When I first reviewed an Asylum film, I stated that their first big success was War of the Worlds 2, coming out on the heels of the Spielberg War of the Worlds movie. That was completely wrong. Their first success was their own War of the Worlds movie from 2005, on the heels of Spielberg's film. As it was a public domain source and they could simply name the movie the same damn thing, no question, it's little wonder that a lot of people accidentally bought their version. Also, if my research is correct, this was not their first rip-off movie project either. 1 year earlier, they produced Vampires vs. Zombies, which was an attempt at ripping off Freddy vs. Jason, allegedly. I guess they realized they have to be shameless as fuck to pull this shit off. But actually, they did make a War of the Worlds 2, which being the sequel to a rip-off movie, inadvertently makes it not a rip-off in and of itself. You know, just an attempt at a cash-grab sequel for a movie ripping off a big-budget production where neither of them had any original ideas. Anyway, I don't actually have the original Asylum version. I don't much care to. But let's take a look at War of the Worlds 2, the next wave, and see just how the Asylum fucks up this one. The film opens with an attract reel of what I can at best assume is recycled footage from the original Asylum film, and the narration explains to us that evidently these events take place 2 years after the original invasion. So going by the original novel, sometime in the late 1890s.
They needed only one thing to survive. Our blood.
Right, I know I missed the first movie, but do you care to explain how they survived as long as they did, presumably on Mars, without human blood for all those millennia?
But as they harvested, there was something they hadn't planned on. We fought back.
And how do they master interplanetary travel and yet still be so stupid that they don't think that when they're killing someone, they might take offense? This fighting back involved guns, bombs, and microbes, apparently. Thus begins our tale with the sudden attack of a couple of random Martian probes. Oh, this movie can't get any better after that. I must say, after seeing so many Asylum films, this is actually really damn good CGI by their standards. I mean, it's still absolute ass, but it's the best damn graphics the Asylum has ever put out. Nevertheless, we see the two important characters evade the special effects and hunker down, and then one of them injects himself with the other's blood, because that makes sense. Enough of that, though. It's time to introduce the real star of this film, as well as the writer and director, C. Thomas Howell, who plays George Herbert. How much money was the Asylum trying to save on this thing? Maybe the entire production was just one big elaborate tax dodge. Nevertheless, we must also meet his son, Alex, played by Dashiell Howell, who also is actually a returning actor from the original film.
Hey, Dad, do you have to work tonight?
Oh, I gotta work tonight, I gotta work tomorrow night, I gotta work every night, son, you know that.
What the fuck job could you possibly have? Oh, of course, Kroger. He gives him a birthday gift, some Chef Boyardee, with a logo conveniently ripped off, but George is less than pleased to find out his son is actually leaving the house on occasion.
How do you know
The only thing that I'm in danger of is getting bored to death.
Goddamn aliens stole all the action movies, and all the video games, and all the porn! God damn you Martians with your extraterrestrial testosterone! But we see George's job is standing out on the roof and making sure the stars are still there. Right. And his kid fell asleep on the oh-so-comfortable bicycle seat. What the fuck? I'm about to blow a gasket over how ridiculous this movie is, and we're barely 5 minutes in, the aliens haven't even shown up yet! Right on cue, though, George awakens to strange sounds coming from the radio.
Alex, get off the bike and get into safety.
Overreacting much? You need to adjust the knobs, dude. No reason not to freak out, so he sticks his son in the basement, saying he'll be back in 7 hours or so.
You set my watch. Okay, set the alarm for 8 hours. And I'll be back before that thing goes off, I promise you.
And the point of giving him this watch and setting the alarm is What, exactly? He drives down to the Free Forces base and lab, which is rather poorly guarded by a mute. If you can't afford to have him speak, dumb over it! Here we meet the important science types of this movie, including Jonathan Levitt as Gorman and Kim Little as Victoria Reed.
She was next in line for a shuttle mission when the invasion happened.
I never quite heard of the Obama presidency referred to as the invasion, but okay. One quick question, though.
We've been able to apply substitution ciphers and have a good sense of things, but what we're missing is the key.
If you were trying to portray her as a Houstonian, why the hell did you give her a New Orleans accent? Now George breaks the news about his shitty radio reception.
I think the walkers are back.
You have less evidence for that than Nibiru. You know, that planet that was supposed to destroy us last year? However, his squiggly notes is all the evidence he needs. It turns out it's not human error he's found over time, but a shift in matter among the stars that he can't explain, and in classic argument from ignorance fallacy, because he doesn't know, it suddenly means he does know. It's the Martians, and they've built a wormhole.
So you can get from, say, here to Mars in...
A nanosecond.
Exactly.
which would explain why we never saw the first invasion coming.
No, that was still just shitty writing.
Exactly.
They send the woman off to confirm George's insane ramblings, and then mention an obvious point he somehow missed these past 2 years, that he should probably take his son and move down into their fortified installation with food and power and all that. Of course, he didn't take into account the fact that George is a short-sighted, self-hating, useless sack of shit, as this offer is completely ignored. Plus, in the 2 years they've been in this situation, he's likely been offered this home on several occasions. No word is given on exactly why he turns it down. It's just he's a dumbass. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. He also shows them their extensive fleet of CGI ships they've built out of reverse-engineered alien technology. Of course, just because they built them, that doesn't mean they have any idea how they work.
We know that these fighters can reach the edge of the mesosphere, but we can't be sure about them breaking through into the exosphere, and the answer lies within the Squidwalker. We know that there's a field that protects them when they do break through into the exosphere.
Why don't you just turn on the field? Of course, their alien technology had to come from somewhere, and therefore they have a spare alien squid walker. I swear, that's what they call them in this movie. Kicking around in the garage. Its interior isn't nearly as impressive as instead of crap CGI, everything is made of shitty plastic sheets peppered with red spray paint, because that's how biomechanoid creatures work. The fact that the aliens are cyborgs is something of note, because in the original Asylum movie, they weren't. The aliens were piloting the Squidwalkers, and they were not exoskeletons.
I discovered a cipher. Watch this.
Congratulations! You've resurrected a horrible alien killer. Stop! This also causes their collection of jets to hover, but this is obviously of no consequence, as Major Kramer, played by Fred Griffith, makes no mention of it whatsoever when the science types roll by. Instead, he makes the obvious suggestion that George should bring his son by and move in, helping out around the base. This is obviously just a setup that his son evidently is also a complete fucking idiot who doesn't realize that his father doesn't sound or look like a 40-foot-tall alien Squidwalker. Seriously, what the fuck was he doing? He walked out of the house, clear into a field, staring at the thing. Fucking dumbass! This turn of events crushes George, so sad that his idiotic child won't go on to learn important life lessons, like don't drink antifreeze and never attempt to pleasure yourself with a light socket. Setting out for revenge, he appears to experience road rage against the nothing taking up all the space on the road, until he reaches a city. Which introduces us to Pete, played by Christopher Reed, who is probably the best actor in the whole movie. Not saying much, but he at least gives a decent performance with what he's got, and plays the roles of the comic relief and the voice of reason. Quick note to the Asylum, though, if your comic relief works by simply being the voice of reason, it might be time to reevaluate your plot structure. Nevertheless, dumbass George stands off against the alien with a shotgun, and this might actually be the best damn Asylum film I've ever seen.
You're not dead, if that's what you thought.
Son of a bitch! Never mind. Yeah, it turns out that the people blasted with lasers haven't been killed, but instead transported into the alien craft so they can meet the token priest and never use him beyond this scene.
Accept what is, and be grateful.
Suddenly they are attacked by the visual effects team, which have certainly spent a lot less time making this look convincing than they did the spaceships, and the puny humans are packed for shipping.
What was that?
Sonic boom, sir.
From what?
From them. They've entered our atmosphere.
What about those aliens who were walking around attacking the city? The fuck did they jump the gun on the invasion for? Never explained, but now the real invasion has begun, as we see with the stock footage destruction reel that the Asylum slaps on all their disaster flicks. Unable to postpone making fools of themselves any longer, the base decides to send out their one and only fleet against the entire Martian army.
Guys, I'm not controlling this.
Calm down, just focus on what's in front of you.
Oh yeah, there's that little feature. The jets receive orders from the Squidwalker thing wirelessly. Which makes me wonder how the fuck they're supposed to be effective at all when the alien ships could just beam their jets' orders to GTFO at any time. Meanwhile, back on the ship that invaded before the invasion, the girl from the intro helps the director out of his cheesecloth trap, as well as the other characters we've already met, but kindly leaves everyone else to rot and die.
Don't touch the wall!
Why not? Okay. Why the fuck did that happen?
I told her not to touch the wall!
That's not the point! You never gave the basest explanation of why the walls eat people! She leads the men to an exit, right through a wall.
Don't touch the walls. Don't touch the walls. And then she goes and jumps into us.
Yeah, she does a real shit job explaining things. Still, George is dumb as a brick and follows nonetheless. On the ground, the science types are still trying to get their shit straight with the squadron.
Satellites are picking up at least 24 of their incoming ships.
Yeah, well, I could see how you describe 700 as more than 24. They must save their weapons for the mothership, so we watch the characters say over and over, "Do not fire," while the special effects shoot constantly, and is never talked about. Their real problem is that the shields they need to breach the atmosphere still aren't operational.
20 minutes.
Stay down for another 20 minutes.
If they needed to wait a half fucking hour before this shit worked, then maybe they would have been better off to not be flying directly into the alien fleet as soon as they were off the ground. Of course, by 20 minutes, she meant 56 seconds, as the shield barely kicked in time for the fighters who were barreling towards the exosphere anyway, whereas luck would have it, there exists no aliens, except of course for the mothership. Of course we can't have our big climax at the 45-minute mark, so of course there's a convenient random special event, resulting in a string of technobabble.
There's a tachyon particle mass erupting. Spreading. Sir, it's a time hole.
What?
It's a time hole.
No, I heard what you said, but what the fuck is a time hole? Time does not exist independently of space, hence the term space-time, and also, effectively, plot-wise, this is nothing more than your average run-of-the-mill wormhole. Why call it a time hole? To me, a time hole is what happens when you think you have enough time to edit your next video, and then find out that you've been invited to the Elder Scrolls Online Beta Stress Test Weekend. Naturally, the mothership escapes through the asshole, and the fighters follow. The fuckholes scramble them by some unexplained mechanism, but they come to find that they've been spat out near Mars.
Want all ships to maintain their current position. I'm gonna move in and see what we're up against.
Of course, one fleet versus an entire army isn't bad enough odds. Let's chop it down to one ship versus an entire fucking planet! In the land beyond the plastic sheet, George and Pete meet back up with Sissy, the lady from the intro, played by Dana Brady. Despite the fact that she is clearly out of her fucking mind, they figure it's better than doing anything logical for once, and follow her. Therefore, they meet the guy from the opening, Shackleford, played by Darren Dalton.
Squids know after the first invasion that the microbes in our blood are lethal to them. But the blood itself is crucial to their survival.
Again, how the fuck did they survive long enough on Mars to achieve interplanetary space travel, yet they somehow desperately need human blood to live? Oh fuck. They're not space vampires, are they? Please tell me they're not space vampires.
The answer is to homogenize the blood.
Homogenization is a process to make things consistent throughout. I think you mean purification. I'd guess pasteurization, except that would denature the blood cells, which would kind of make their efforts pointless. Never mind that pesky detail, the aliens' efforts failed last time because they somehow never developed the concept of basic sanitation. But this group still has a problem fighting back due to one small problem.
Hard to get things when you're stuck on Mars.
Where do I start?
I don't remember the Mars rover sending pictures back at this place.
There's that. Big-ass city with a blue sky on a nearby planet we have mapped the fuck out of the surface of. Also, there's the opening. Why the fuck were the Martians invading Mars to abduct the humans that they have already abducted?
Technically, you're still on the ship. But the ship itself is on Mars.
That really doesn't fix the problem here. Obviously, they still don't believe the guy, so he elects Sissy to show them proof.
In there. Find the emergency exit. No one ever tries the emergency exit. Be careful.
The secret exit was on a big door marked exit, and nobody else figured this out! Or maybe they did. Where the fuck is everybody? Behind the comically obvious exit door, they find the true horrifying secret of the Martian spacecraft. It turns out this is a soundstage where the Asylum has filmed all the other scenes of this movie. Thus, they return to plan their next move. Crazy McFucknugget tells them that their only hope is to take the virus in his blood and use it against the Martians directly. The virus he drew from Sissy's blood, but isn't killing her, but is killing him. Would seem to be an idiotic move on his part, but look at it this way. She's not in the scene to offer it directly. In fact, she's not going to be in the movie at all from this point on. Nothing happened to her, she's just missing. And because he can't survive heading back to the ship they're still on to taint their homogenized blood supply, George doesn't simply take the blood, but injects the shit into himself, at which point Shackleford promptly dies, leaving him without guidance. Yeah, I know the virus likely wouldn't last long outside of a warm host, but why can't they just bring Sissy along as the living container? I don't care if the actress walked off set, get another one! Major Dumbass, Kramer, has also reached the mothership, but forgets that he was supposed to shoot the thing and not crash his jet into the side of it. Nevertheless, he survives somehow, and even luckier. George finds out that the invaders are invading themselves yet again, giving him the opportunity to get captured, attacked by the effects filters, and wrapped in cheesecloth for the second time. Fortunately for his stupid ass, Pete just uses the friggin' door and saves his ass. You know what? I think I figured out the main problem with this movie. Everybody's a fucking moron! Even if you let the ridiculous plot and technobabble slide, the characters are still brain-crushingly stupid and always choosing the most idiotic courses of action, and the only reason they're remotely effective is because of shitty writing and stupid luck! Thus, it's time for some shitty writing, so through sheer luck, the two guys find Alex nearby, as well as a few dozen other people who are being drained of their blood, but, well, fuck them. On top of this, George pulls the information on how to get the mothership brain out of his ass, and uses that convenient virus he was injected with to destroy it. This allows them to easily flee while the Squidwalker is busy humping a building.
Major!
Alex? What the hell are you doing here?
Because he's a kid. I mean, just because he does nothing to contribute to the plot, and there's no point to be there at all, and doesn't do anything to help his survival rate, and in fact does a lot of stuff to ensure his death. Never mind all that. Also, pay no mind to the hundreds, or maybe even thousands of other people on the mothership. None of them matter in the slightest. So Major Asshole here straps the three characters into the convenient passenger seats his fighter jet was equipped with, which despite crashing is still completely operational and spaceworthy. So it's just a simple matter of taking a quick flight through the dick hole, which really does bring about a time jump as the movie suddenly says it's 3 months later. Everyone is happy and healthy, except for George, so his son Alex is depressed.
This whole thing's been hard on him. I mean, he's just a little boy.
Think it's strange that Alex is upset about losing his father? I'm personally wondering why everyone else is so chipper after an alien invasion, no matter how well it went.
Little man.
I'll be damned.
Dad, you're here!
Wait. He wasn't dead? Okay, what the fuck was Alex's problem then? Whiny little bitch can't handle him being in a hospital for a while? And how the fuck did he live? He was injected with a super virus powerful enough to take down a Martian mothership. Am I supposed to believe that a little bed rest and Robitussin was all he needed? So happy fucking ending. George is fucking alive, Pete is still fucking around, and Alex stole George's fucking watch. But wouldn't you fucking know it? They still haven't fixed the fucking tuner on the fucking radio. Well, that was the fucking movie. Oh, could it be an Asylum movie that is well below average? How quaint. In all seriousness, the sad part about this film is the fact that production-wise, it's actually one of the top-tier Asylum films I've sat through, but they fucked up on oh so many other levels that the decent-ish CGI and not-too-bad acting didn't even matter. The fact that it's a sequel to a ripoff that put the studio on the map also makes me wonder just how much of the fight scenes were recycled from the first, as they go on and on about not firing, saving the weapons for the mothership, but the CGI jets are constantly shooting. I'm also starting to wonder if they even made the disaster footage they constantly recycle movie after movie. I honestly wouldn't put it past them if they hadn't. But story-wise, there was a little potential to be had here. The original War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells actually did have a sequel, and while the movie certainly did not follow that story, the big problem is that it also fails to follow its own story. Several points from the original Asylum film are completely changed in this movie. This means this has to stand on its own, which of course it has no capacity to do so whatsoever. The incompetence of the aliens, paired with the stupidity of the humans, is the only reason that the thing even lasts 90 minutes. Well, that and the classic Asylum feature of ridiculously slow credit sequences. But to put it simply, the people are idiots who have no concept of logic or rational thought, while the aliens are more predictable than Goombas and a hell of a lot less attentive. Overall, there are good points to be had in this movie, but unless you're the kind of guy who normally subjects yourself to the Asylum movies for the fuck of it, you probably won't care. And the story represented here is bland, predictable, and honestly pretty shitty, coming in at 2 Squidwalker building fuckers out of 5. And you know what the worst part is? I know damn well there are more Asylum movies in my future, and they will be plenty worse than this one. Fuck. Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado, and remember, human settlement on Mars has begun with the Mars One project. It's tempting to sign up just to get away from the Asylum. Of course, they'd fucking follow me.
You came from so far away. You came into my life from so far away. You came into my life and you stayed. Why oh, why oh, I traveled faster this Saturday night. 20 grams on my mind. Got some smoke from straight outer space and blew it in your face. You came into my life from so far away.
Is this thing feeding off us? Well, I hope you choke on my shit!